We posted 2 videos per day every single day for an entire year, and in this video I'm going to share with you exactly what we learned and how you can apply it for your personal brand as well. Now, I'm going to start by sharing with you our story, and I'm going to give you the 3 fundamental lessons that we learned in the process of growing a successful personal brand. And ultimately, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you an exact game plan that you can take and apply to grow your own successful personal brand. Now, first of all, a little bit of context for those of you who are new on the channel. I'm Alessio, and together with my business partner Brian, we built a personal brand called Create Content Club on Instagram. Now, I'm going to make the story of how the whole thing started pretty short and straight to the point, but basically we were both creating content and we decided to get together and start this personal brand, this Instagram page, to see where this could take us. And we basically started creating content on how to make better videos, because I had some background as a filmmaker. Brian was already creating some content for another Instagram page that he had and his own personal brand, and he already got some good results from that. And so basically we started this page to share what we learned in the process of me becoming a filmmaker and him growing his own Instagram page. And so we started sharing videos on this Instagram account without having actually that many expectations, and something crazy happened, because when we first started, we set to ourselves a very specific goal, which was we are going to post every single day, 2 times a day on this account, no matter what. We actually started with 1 post a day, and then we tried to up it as soon as possible to get 2 posts out every single day. And what happened actually surprised us, because it literally changed our life. Now we are literally just living off of our personal brand. But basically, we started out with the intention of posting every single day for at least 6 months and just see what would happen. Now, we started with this intention in mind, and what actually ended up happening is that after just 2 weeks we blew up, and our account in just 2 weeks of posting got to 10,000 followers. Now, I know that that might already sound like a pretty good result, but the thing is, we didn't stop there. We kept on going, and in just 2 months we hit 100,000 followers. Now, we kept on going, and after an entire year of posting on Instagram, we got to the point of growing an audience of more than 400,000 followers. Now, the first thing that I want to open this video with is why exactly we chose to post daily, and why we were able to get the results that we got by a simple mindset shift that we did. If you notice how I framed it also in the beginning of this video, as I said, we didn't have expectations going into this. We started with the idea of we are going to post for 6 months, no matter what. Okay, so just to give you a visual representation, let's say that this is our timeline, okay, and we have 6 months. We were willing to go over all of this, okay, so start posting, producing content every single month, and even if we got no results, we were willing to keep on going. Now, what happened was really funny again, because like in just a couple of weeks we actually ended up blowing up. But the thing that most people get wrong, and we see this time and time again, especially since now we are also teaching other people exactly how to do the same thing that we did for ourselves and for our business, is they start with a very wrong intention in mind, which is they start with the goal in mind. They start with what they want to get, and not really with the inputs that they are willing to take. Now, I know that some of you will probably think, well, but it's easy to say that you are going to do it anyway when you actually exploded, and so you ended up getting crazy results in the first few weeks. But the thing is this, we actually were doing it for a while with absolutely no results, because before we created this page, Create Content Club, both of us had our own projects, our own things going on, and we tried for months and months posting on social media, a lot of times with little to no results, and we never stopped doing it. And so I know that this might sound like super cliche, but you really have to start with the idea in mind of I'm going to do this for at least 6 months or 1 year, and I promise you that that can literally change your life, because it did it for us. But you have to start with this idea in mind, and you have to be willing not to see results in the first place. Now, with that being said, and with this expectation set right from the start, I'm going to share with you the 3 lessons that we learned, okay? And these are fundamental lessons. These are things that we learned that apply to every single one of you that want to build a personal brand. And so the first thing that I'm going to talk about is volume. The second thing that I'm going to talk about is the exact content strategy that we used. Okay, so I'm going to give you the actual strategy, like no fluff, the actual stuff that we did in practice to actually get this kind of results. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about systems as well, because at the end of the day, you have to find a way to systemize all of this, especially with creating content and especially if you have a business. So let's start off by the first lesson, okay? And this is by far, like, there is a reason why I put it as first, because this is by far the most important element. Okay, this is the most important part. And the reason why it's the most important part is that, and the reason why I say that it's the most important part is that we have proof of that, since now it's not only us doing this, but we are also teaching, as I was saying, other people how to do this. And the people who understand this are the ones that get the best results. Even if they don't have a content strategy, basically, even if they fuck up the systems, I promise you that if you just have this, you're already at like 80% of the job. So let's start off by talking a little bit about volume. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to start by sharing a story that doesn't actually come from us, but from Alex Hormozi. You're probably familiar with him if you're in the online entrepreneurship space and you watch any kind of entrepreneurs online, basically. But even if you don't know him, doesn't matter. The story is just to prove a point. And I think that it's something that we talk about a lot also with our students. And the story goes something like this. When he first started out, he was trying to promote his business, which was a gym. And he had a mentor told him, oh, try to use flyers, because that's the method that he used. And so he put out these flyers and he was like, I don't see any results. Like, no one came into my gym. And so he goes to his mentors and he's like, this doesn't work, clearly. Like, I put out this stuff and it doesn't do anything. And this mentor that he had was like, how many did you put out? And Alex was like, well, 300. And the mentor laughs at him and he's like, 300, we test with 5,000. And so the whole point of this story, and this is also something that we talk about very often with our students, and something that I want you to understand is, if you look at our profile, okay, if you look at our Instagram profile, I want you to not focus that much on the followers that we have, but I want you to focus on another number that's right there, which is the number of posts that we have out. Because a lot of people start with the wrong expectations in mind, and that's also why I kind of mentioned it already to begin with. And they have this idea that they're going to post 10 videos and it's going to work, or they're going to see some kind of results. And truth is, that doesn't happen, okay? And so most people heavily underestimate the amount of work that's required and the amount of volume that's required to be put out. So all of this is just to say, man, if you haven't put out 100 videos, don't even talk to me. Like, I can give you the best content strategy. I can give you the best systems in the world. If you don't put out 50, 100 videos, 200 videos, it doesn't matter. All of it doesn't matter, okay? So this is really the first thing that I want you to understand, okay? So this little story or analogy to get the point of this. Now, the second thing is that quality comes from quantity. And this is also something really important, because a lot of people have this misconception and they're like, well, but should I focus on quality or should I focus on quantity? And so actually, let's just put it like this: quality and quantity. So here's the thing. Quality comes from quantity. In this perspective, I'm actually going to tell you a little story for this as well to explain this concept. This is the story of the pottery class. Now, the story goes something like this. There is a pottery class that gets split into two groups at the beginning of the year, and one group has one single goal, which is to produce the best piece of pottery possible, and the other group has the goal of producing as many pieces of pottery as possible. And at the end of the year, they were going to be evaluated, one on the number that they put out and one on the quality of the one that they put out. And guess what? At the end of the year, the students that had the quantity goal, so that had to put out the most pieces of pottery possible, also got the best quality pieces of pottery. Because the thing is, like, you need to get into the feedback loop of putting out content and learning what works and what doesn't. And as much as I can give you strategies or systems, again, this does not work if you don't get a real life experience and a real understanding by actually going out there and putting out content. And so this is why we push so much for quantity, because again, quality comes from quantity. Now, the third point, and this kind of goes back to what I was mentioning here, is the feedback loop. And when I talk about feedback loop, what I mean is having a system in which you're putting out a lot of content, because that way you can put out content, and this is literally what we do. Week by week, you put out content, and then you look back at what you did, and you see what works and what doesn't. That is by far the fastest way to improve. You know, it's like practice makes perfect. And actually, caveat to that, practice and analysis makes perfect, okay? So you need practice So you need quantity, you need to put out content, and then you need to also analyze what you're doing, what's working and what's not working, and so get into this feedback loop. Now, with that being said, again, I want you to understand this, like you could literally leave this video now, and with just this, you have 80% of the work done. Now, I know that you also want the nitty and gritty and the strategies. So going back to what I was mentioning before, you want the content strategy, you want the systems as well. So I'm going to talk about those as well in this video, but you could literally live with this and you're already better off than 99% of people who ever try to create content. So let's actually move on to the content strategy and what we learned in the process of growing 400,000 followers on our personal brand. And so when it comes to this, I'm going to talk about 3 main topics that you might have already heard, especially if you're interested in building a personal brand and you ever explore these topics, but I'm going to explain you real quick what everything means. So you have your hooks, you have your scripts, and you have your visual. Let's start off by the first part. What are the hooks? Hooks are basically the first few seconds of your video. So what gets people's attention and what gets them to watch your video or not. Now, when it comes to this, we make drastic changes in the approach that we take from when we started to what we are doing now and the strategy that we are applying now to get the results that we are getting. And the main thing is this, and this is also what we teach to our students: steal hooks that already worked. And before you get pissed off at this and you get mad or you start commenting, oh, you shouldn't steal content, that doesn't work well, and all of this, listen, here's the thing. A hook is nothing more than a way to package information, and it's a way that if it already worked for someone else, it's most likely going to work for you as well. Now the value, okay, and so this is when I'm talking more about the script, so the central part of your video. The value that you're going to give is yours, okay? It's totally yours. You're not going to steal that, also because otherwise, come on, like what are we even here for? You're not really going to provide any kind of value, and you're not going to build a personal brand ultimately because there's nothing yours. But the hook is just a way to package it that clearly gets people's attention. And now, if you look at this, I'm not even telling you like just trust my word. If you look at YouTube, because like YouTube titles, for example, are a great type of hooks and a great example of hooks. Like, you will probably notice that 99% of YouTube titles are exactly the same, copy and paste for everyone. It doesn't matter if you go to your Alex Hormozi, if you go to your Iman Gadzhi, if you go to the biggest personal brands that there are, they literally take titles for YouTube videos, and the same thing goes for personal brands on Instagram that make short form videos, and you look at their hooks. It's all hooks that already existed. It's like you're not going to come up probably with something that no one ever thought about. And so might as well take stuff from people inside of your niche, of course, that already talked about the topic and they packaged it in a way that worked really well. So this is the first thing, steal hooks. Again, now you have an understanding of why I'm saying steal. Now, when it comes to the scripting, and this is also something that we developed after a lot of experience, we try to simplify as much as possible the structure that we have. Because for a lot of people, scripting is really confusing. They're like, well, but like really, how do I structure my script? Do I just start writing from a blank Canva? And so the thing is, we literally don't do that, okay? So we start from the hook. So this is actually the first part of your script. So you have your hook. And then we have very specific steps that we follow for the scripting. And these are the selling, and I'm going to, of course, explain to you what each one of these means. You have the principle, you have the example, and you have the call to action, okay? So this is the structure that we follow for all of our scripts, okay? And the same structure that we teach to our students as well. It starts with a hook, so again, taking something that gets people's attention, packaged in a way that already worked for someone else. And again, it's literally the first sentence, the first few seconds of the video. And this is, I want to underline this because this is what like 99% of people get wrong when they are scripting their videos. This is crucial. Selling the solution or selling what you're about to provide as value. And so a lot of people, what they do is they start with a hook and then they start explaining whatever principle they want to explain. And this is a problem because most people get interested into your video from the hook, you catch their attention with the hook, and then you dive straight into explaining a principle that they don't even know if they need or how important the principle that you're going to give is. And so what we do right before diving into our script, into the core of the video. And this is also what we do for our YouTube videos. If you go back, you will probably notice it. I told you a little bit about our story. I told you that we got to 400,000 followers, because otherwise, why would you be listening to me about scripting if I didn't tell you that we have 400,000 followers? And so it's like all that this part is in a video, it's selling the value that you're about to provide, and so hyping up the value that you're about to provide. So you can do it in many different ways. One of the classic ones is giving social proof. And so whatever you might do, you're a fitness coach, let's say, okay? I like to go with that example because it's just really simple. So let's say that you're a fitness coach. Instead of just explaining an exercise or type of diet or whatever it might be, you can always introduce that with some kind of results that got you, or that got your clients. And so your hook might be, this is the best diet on planet Earth. And then you don't start your video by being like, oh, it's the keto diet, it works like this and that. No, what you would do is, I literally use it with 100 clients and they all lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks. I'm exaggerating it. Don't listen to the actual stuff that I'm saying. It's just to give you an understanding of what this is. And so this is crucial because it gives people a reason to actually watch your entire video. Now, the third thing, of course, is the principle, and this is where you actually provide the value, you explain the concept. The fourth part, and this is also incredibly important, it's an example or something applicable that they can take from your video. And so exactly what I'm going to do in this video. So I'm not only going to explain to you all of these concepts, I'm going to give you a game plan so that you can take it and start building your personal brand. So here's the thing. An example is simply something that they can literally take and understand how they can apply that principle that you gave them in the first place in real life. And so, for example, if it had to be the diet, the keto diet, I explained the keto diet and whatever. Example, how can you apply this diet in your day-to-day life? Well, you could start your morning, for example, by eating some eggs and whatever. You get what I mean, okay? So it's like you give them something so that they can take it and start applying it. And last but not least, the call to action. Of course, ultimately what we want to do is, get leads for our business, monetize, whatever it might be. And so, of course, you must always include something that pushes people to take one further step inside of your funnel. Now, the last thing that I want to mention is the visual aspect, because I'm going to actually put up on screen the before and after also of our videos, and this is with experience in filmmaking already. The visual aspect does a lot, okay? So we have other videos in which we talk a little bit about this. We will probably make other videos so we can go a little bit more in depth in the future if you let us know in the comment if you're interested in this. But the filmmaking aspect or how your video looks matters. We're talking about a video, okay? Otherwise it would have been a podcast if it was just the script or just like the audio part of what you're saying. It wouldn't be a video. So we are creating videos and there is the visual aspect and the audio aspect. And so again, what you're speaking, what you're saying, and how the video actually looks. And so this is crucial. This is really important. We improved it a lot throughout time, but we already started from a pretty good point because, again, I had a little bit of experience as a filmmaker, but crucial. You really have to make sure that your videos actually look good because, again, you perceive this in a certain way because I am in this set. I'm in this set, I have a great professional light, I had great professional equipment, cameras and everything else. So really, really important, the visual aspect. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is systems. Because at the end of the day, you can start creating content with everything that I gave you, and then you will need eventually to systemize it, because if you want to run a business, you need systems in place as well. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 different concepts that are crucial and that we used a lot, be able to post 2 times a day, every single day for an entire year, okay? So the first one is batching, and then I'm going to talk about time blocking, and last but not least, delegating. So with this beautiful setup in place, let's start by batching. Now, this is really important. We oftentimes get in touch with people that sometimes even have big personal brands, but they are like, I'm putting out like 2 pieces of content a week and I'm still struggling to make those. Because what a lot of people start doing is they find a content idea, they script it, they film it, they edit it, and they get into this loop. Here's the thing, we don't do that. We pretty much never did that actually, but we also improved the systems over time. Here's what you should do instead. You find all of your content ideas, you script all of your content ideas for an entire week at least. You can even do it for a couple of weeks if you want to, but it's also really important to have that feedback loop. So what we recommend is usually the time frame of 1 week. So you find all of your content ideas, you script all of your content ideas, you film everything, okay? So you're not out there filming every single day. We literally don't do that. You film everything, and then you can do the editing and spread it out a little bit throughout the days. Now, when it comes to the editing, it can be a little bit time consuming. This is also why we recommend, and I'm going to talk about it right here in the third point, but delegating it to a professional editor potentially. Now, the second thing is time blocking. So you need to dedicate specific time to creating content. You cannot be just like, oh, whenever I have the spark of an idea, or whenever I'm in the middle of like, I have one call and then I'm going to find some content ideas that I have another call. No, like this is also really important. If your business, like unless your business is making millions and millions already, most people don't know who you are, and you need to put yourself out there way more than you think. So literally, most of your day should be dedicated to this, whether it's, you know, content, paid advertising, whatever it might be that you're doing. And of course, like we highly recommend content because I think it's the best thing ever. We had other videos about this, and I'm actually going to link the video in which we explain why we believe content is the best form of marketing and the best way to reach new people and new customers. But all of this to say, you need to block time on your calendar dedicated just to that. And the last thing, I actually noticed right now, this should be a 3. And the last thing is delegating, okay? As soon as you can start delegating some of these tasks, and the first one by far that we also delegated is editing. The most time consuming, the most technical one. Even if you're good at it, there's probably someone that can do it better than you. So just delegate the editing. That's really the first thing. And also, guess what? If you're already doing all of this, everything that I just explained, so you're already putting out content, you have a huge audience. And so you can literally, and this is what we did to hire our editor. We literally put out a story in which we were like, we're looking for an editor. We got like tons of applications. And then from there, you can easily filter for editors that actually have quality in place and that can create really good videos. And from there, what I highly recommend is that you delegate that part. So last but not least, how to start. How are we actually going to make this into a very clear plan? Now, here's the thing. First of all, set a clear timeline. And what I'm going to give to you is a very clear and simple timeline that you can take for 2 weeks, starting from now, so that you can start and get your content out. Now, the first thing that you're going to have to do is find content ideas. So do some research, find what's working in your niche, find other videos that already perform well, especially when it comes to the hooks, as I mentioned already. And you can literally take 1 day just to do that. Then take a couple of days to script out your content. I gave you the framework, so you can literally take that framework and script out 7 videos, and this is what I recommend also for the content ideas. Find at least 7 ideas so that you can put out content for an entire week, and you can take a couple of days to do the scripting. Again, no more than that, maximum 3 days. When you're just starting out, you might take a little bit longer, so 2 or 3 days for the scripting, 1 day for the filming. And this is a must. You have to just take 1 day for the filming. To build out a set and everything else, it's absolutely a pain and it can take a lot of time. So you 100% need to just film in 1 day, and then you can take the rest of the days of the week to edit your videos, get them ready to be posted, set up your account if you need to create one from scratch. And the second week, what you will do is you will already have a schedule of those 7 posts, and you will repeat the same exact process. So you will take 1 day to find the content ideas, a couple of days to script. Now, ultimately, what you want to get to is out of experience, you will become faster. And so you can actually take less days to create all of this. What we actually do right now by applying all of those systems is we literally just take 1 morning, so time blocking and batching, and we take that morning to find the content ideas and script them for the entire week. Then we take another morning to film everything, and then delegating, we have an editor, so we just send over the videos and we get them edited. Now, one last concept again that I want you to really understand is focus on the inputs. Your goal for the first month should be to put out 30 pieces of content, not to think about followers. Don't forget that. Followers will come. It's a consequence. It's the natural consequence of the inputs that you put in. So your goal should become posting 1 time a day, not whatever number of followers that you have in mind. With that being said, if you want help in building your personal brand and in knowing exactly how to build out your own unique and specific strategy to create content, we do have a coaching program, so you can click the link in the description if you're interested. And with that being said, we'll see you in the next video.